Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for logging in and for your time today. My name is Fran Green, the National Sound Manager here at more2life, and excited to be talking to you about our latest innovation, as of today's date at least, our tailored interest reward. Now, just before I go on to talk about that product in specifics, just want to cover off the reason why we feel at more2life there is a need for innovation. And it's twofold, really. We've got our traditional lifetime mortgage borrower still very much here in their 70s and 80s. They've had decades of property value growth, and they've probably been on that 25-year mortgage repayment type journey, finding themselves with an unencumbered property. However, finding they do have additional borrowing needs later in life, being asset rich and cash poor, and looking to release funds for a variety of reasons, including supplementing their income, funding discretionary spending, and a constant in our market, a drive to gift. However, we have seen an upsurge of a younger borrower in this space, not having been on that 25-year repayment journey, usually younger, 50s and 60s perhaps. They haven't been able to get debt-free from a property point of view, and they are very much balancing the retirement planning with managing that debt. We know that all borrowers these days, with the average first-time buyer being 36 years and the average term being 35 years, are expecting to take their debt into their retirement. And you can kind of see the two sort of different customers quite clearly here in these demonstrations. There on your left, that traditional mortgage person, that journey where they've had the debt, it's reduced, and they've had a period of a unencumbered property and then raising additional funds in later life. And then you've got the Gen X on the side, that 50 to 60-year-old, where they've had a mortgage. They may have started on a repayment journey, but then upsized, possibly found interest only through their financial objections and objectives, and then looking to transition off that interest only into something else. And for that reason, that's why more2life have been continually innovating in this space. Firstly, with our flexi payment term lifetime mortgage, that hybrid mortgage for customers who are looking for larger releases at younger ages, who have an ability and a willingness to make a payment, can do so on a legally contractual basis for a short period of time before landing into a pure lifetime mortgage, that hybrid, as we call it. We then launched our flexi interest reward, similar but doesn't travel with a threat to repossession. So it's still with a customer that has an ability and a willingness to make a payment. However, they can do so, commit to do so, and therefore receive a discount. Now, if they stop making the payments under a variety of circumstances and then they lose or reduce their discount amount, their home is not at threat of repossession. And then that brings us to our third innovation, as I say, the one we're here to talk about, which is our tailored interest rewards. Now, what is it and who it's for? Well, we've pretty much covered that. It is for people who want to take control over their borrowing costs. They can do so by making a commitment to make a payment, and then in return of that risk for the funder being reduced, because they're reducing the roll-up of their debt, the funder will reward them with a discounted rate. Now, as I said, this is a traditional mortgage, so it has a rate that is fixed for life and then is discounted for as long as they want it, really. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. Now, discounts range from 0.3 to 0.65%, and they're dictated by what product those customers need to take, because that's all dependent on the amount of release that they need. Now, you can see the discounts here on this table as they increase, as actually the borrowing needs increases. Now, who is this product for? Again, it's a bit of a cheat to say it is for, as we've mentioned, somebody who has a willingness and ability to make those payments. And who's it not suitable for? It's not suitable for those people who don't or can't. So, it's quite simple. But as I said, this product isn't one that travels with the threat of repossession. It's therefore not governed from a lender's point of view by the MCOP rules that require affordability assessments. But what we do ask our advisors to do is to make sure, as you will do, that you do a thorough income and affordability assessment, identifying that net disposable income and making sure any payments you recommend they make for any payment term that you recommend it are affordable and sustainable throughout. Now, there are consequences to not making those payments, and we do cover that quite significantly in a second. For anybody watching who's directly authorised or needs to take responsibility for making sure this product delivers good, fair value, our product information sheet is available on the website for that detail. But just roughly and quickly going through a feature overview for you. Now, these are what I call the vital statistics of this product. So you can see there, this has been built on the backbone of our standard tailored choice product range. And there's a couple of things to note there, though, that unlike our standard tailored choice and all of our other plans as it happens, where you can make overpayments with this plan, whilst you're choosing to service interest, which is between 25 and 100% of the interest to be charged, you cannot make any overpayments. Now, there is also drawdown from day one, and we will talk about that a little bit more detail in a second. And from our other core four features, there are additional two. It does travel with the compassionate clause, that 3-year window, where on a joint plan, one or the borrowers either moves into long-term care or passes away, they get a 3-year window in which to redeem ERC free. And should the customer have to redeem with an early repayment charge, then at least they will know they will be fixed during the early repayment charge period. Now, as I said, the people can choose to have a drawdown with this facility. You can advise that as an option. Now, drawdowns, when they come back, they can take that on an interest reward basis or not. If they don't, they actually unlock the overpayment facility, and that's up to 10% of the initial advance of that segment of the loan on an annual basis from as little as £50 and up to 12 times in the year. Now let's put this into a bit of practice for you. So as you will be able to see, here are the choices that a customer needing the max release from this product has. They could do so on our C8 product, release £517,000 at ages 69 and 71, on a property worth £150,000, releasing £165,000. Now that customer says, actually, I can pay £300 a month and I'm going to do so for 10 years. And that's a fabulous thing for them to do on a voluntary basis. That's always encouraged because it does reduce that debt that's rolled up by £36,000 over that initial 15-year period. However, they make that as a commitment, and in return for that commitment, they get their rate discounted further. So you can see there, they're achieving the maximum discount of 65 bips, and that reduces the debt down even further, net to an additional 29,561, even when you take the extra payments into account. Now, what happens if they stop their payments? Well, there is a potential that that discount will be removed. However, with this product, it is a product that doesn't have an end term date. So a customer can make a decision on a month-by-month basis as to whether or not a product that requires a payment to get a discount off the rate is still right for them. Now, there are a lot of lovely flexible features when it comes to making or stopping making payments with this product. There is an option with a month's notice that they could take an up to 3-month payment holiday. And they can miss up to 2 months payments just on an ad hoc basis without notice. Now, these facilities renew on an annual basis, so actually a customer need only make payments for up to 7 times a year with a little bit of planning. Now, any payments that are missed, as I said, there are no facilities to overpay during the service interest period here, so they are just added to the debt and rolled up as normal. And if a customer does stop making the payments and they trigger a removal of the discount and they return to a time when they can continue to make payments, that's fabulous. As I said, they should be encouraged to do so for the benefit of the estate. But unfortunately, the discount, once it's gone, has been removed and cannot be returned. So how do you find these products in sourcing? So this is an exclusive currently, that we are looking to expand imminently to other platforms. But I can show you here how you can find this product immediately. Now you will see on the Air platform when you enter, when you got to the bottom, you've added the customers, details, their property, etc., what their borrowing needs are, that you'll be asked to tick boxes. Now this will be pre-selected that you want to see interest reward type products, but there is a box below that said how much of a budget is your customer willing to commit towards making mortgage payments. And if you leave that box empty, you're effectively telling the technology they have no money to support a mortgage payment. So you won't see these products unless you put a payment in that box. And I do recommend you maximize somebody's payment potential here. So if you've identified a net disposable income of £500, then use the whole £500 at least in sourcing so you can see all of the options available, and that will let you have a really rich conversation with the customers about what they can actually achieve with their payments, their full budget, and maybe ski downhill, if that's an old saying that you recognize, to something that they're comfortable with. So they're maximizing, as I say, their payment potential and also achieving the best outcomes. Now, for whatever reason, if you don't have access to the Air platform, then you can actually get quotes, KFIs for this product directly from the FastPath portal. Now, finishing off here, just to say there is further support available to you. If you go onto our website, the microsite there has a number of different resources for you, including a customer and an advisor guide on how to source. And the team back on campus at Preston are also always here to help. Should you need any more assistance, please do reach out to your normal contact or to the contact details that are available to you on the screen. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next innovation.